Chen Yang stood among the container piles at the port, the night wind carrying the salty sea air slapping his face. After 5 years, he finally returned to this city. The neon lights in the distance dyed the sky an ambiguous red, like some kind of ominous omen. He took a deep breath and subconsciously touched the Colt 1911 hidden inside his suit with his right hand. This gun had been with him for 5 years, from the jungles of South America to the deserts of the Middle East, witnessing every life and death struggle he had. On that rainy night 5 years ago, he watched his father fall in a pool of blood, watched the Black Dragon Society swallow up the entire Chen family business, and watched himself flee overseas. All the pain and humiliation turned into a sharp blade, sharpening his will day after day. "Brother Yang, the car is ready." Wang Kuei's deep voice came from behind. This brother whom he met in the overseas mercenary group was one of his most trusted assistants. Chen Yang turned and walked towards the black Mercedes parked not far away. He looked completely different in his suit and tie than the young man who had fled in panic 5 years ago. Over the years, he not only acquired a lot of skills, but also accumulated a lot of connections and resources internationally. The car drove into the city, and the scene along the way was both familiar and strange. 5 years is enough to change many things. But some things will never change, such as hatred and the belief that blood debt must be paid with blood. "Old Wang, what is the recent situation of the Black Dragon Society?" Chen Yang asked lightly as he looked at the street scenes passing by outside the window. "Su Guohua is still the boss. In the past few years, they have annexed several small gangs and expanded their territory a lot. However, internal conflicts are also intensifying, especially between Su Guohua's 2 sons, who are fighting openly and secretly for the right of inheritance." Wang Kuei reported the intelligence concisely. Chen Yang nodded gently, with a sneer on his lips. He had been waiting for this moment for too long, and he had to make sure every step was perfect. Revenge was not an impulsive venting, but a carefully designed work of art. The car finally stopped at a high-end apartment building in the city center. This would be their temporary base. Chen Yang stood in front of the French window, overlooking this city that never sleeps. 5 years ago, he had nothing here. 5 years later, he came back with sufficient preparation to collect his debts. Wang Kuei spread out a document on the table in the living room. "Brother Yang, this is the detailed information of each of the Black Dragon Society's locations, including staffing and revenue." Chen Yang walked over and looked through the information carefully. Behind every number was his father's hard work, and they were all things he had to take back. But the primary goal was not these, but to find the traitor who betrayed the Chen family. "Let the brothers hold back for now. I'm going to meet an old friend tomorrow." Chen Yang closed the folder, a sharp light flashing in his eyes. "This old friend is called Li Ziqing. He used to be the housekeeper of the Chen family and survived the rainy night. Now he runs a small tea house and lives a quiet life. Chen Yang needs to get some key information from him." The next morning, Chen Yang came to the Mingyu tea house in the old city alone. Pushing open the slightly old wooden door, a faint scent of tea was greeted. There were almost no customers in the tea house in the early morning. Only a white-haired old man was wiping the tea sets. "Uncle Li," Chen Yang called softly. The old man paused for a moment, then slowly raised his head. When he saw Chen Yang's face clearly, tears welled up in his cloudy eyes. "Master, is it really you?" Chen Yang walked forward and supported Li Ziqing, who was too excited to stand. "It's me, I'm back." Li Ziqing held his hand and carefully looked at this familiar yet unfamiliar face. 5 years had made the high-spirited young master more mature and steady. If the old master is still alive, he must be pleased. "Uncle Li, I need to know the truth of what happened back then." Chen Yang went straight to the point. "Who betrayed my father?" Li Ziqing's expression became serious. He motioned Chen Yang to follow him to the backyard, where it would be more appropriate to discuss confidential matters. There was a small patio in the backyard with a few pots of orchids. Li Ziqing poured a cup of Longjing tea for Chen Yang, and then slowly said, "I have been thinking about what happened back then for so many years, and finally found some clues." He lowered his voice and continued, "The Black Dragon Society couldn't have known that the master would be checking the accounts at the dock warehouse that night, unless someone inside leaked the itinerary. And only a few core members were able to learn of this information. Who are they?" Chen Yang's voice was soft, but it contained a heart-pounding power. "The master's bodyguard Captain Ma Chuan, financial director Yang Ming, and..." Li Ziqing hesitated to speak. "Who else?" "And the master's most trusted partner, Zhou Guodong." Chen Yang's eyes suddenly became sharp. Zhou Guodong, this name was very familiar to him. This man was not only his father's partner, but also his godfather. When the Chen family got into trouble, Zhou Guodong was apparently implicated and suffered heavy losses, but he soon made a comeback and had a lot of business dealings with the Black Dragon Society. I have been keeping an eye on them over the years. Ma Chuan died in a car accident shortly after the incident, and Yang Ming fled abroad with the money. Only Zhou Guodong is not only safe and sound, but is becoming more and more prosperous. Li Ziqing said, pulling out a USB flash drive from his arms. It contains some information I have collected over the years.